All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to this training for kvCORE. And I think this is something that you hear me say this all the time, and a lot of the trainings I say this, but it's true. You have to treat this like a business if you want it to pay you like one. And I hear time and time again when we talk about a CRM, you're like, "Well, what's a CRM?" You know, I don't use a CRM. I have people in my phone. Isn't that enough? And no, it's not, because a CRM is more than just a way of storing your contacts. It's a way of being able to have those multiple touch points without you even having to do anything once you get them set up into kvCORE. So CRM, they call it a client relationship management tool. I like to say it's a client retention tool. Because that's really what it comes down to. And you'll see as I go through this presentation, there have been many times where I have had clients reach out to me 2, 3, 4, 5 years after I first was introduced to them or first sold them a property or helped them buy a property. And it's because I've kept them in our CRM that all those touch points that I do on a monthly basis, I was always their go-to agent. And before I get started, I just want to make sure, I think I hear a little bit of noise. Make sure your systems are muted, please. That would definitely help out so we don't hear any background noise. So that's what kvCORE is. kvCORE is your CRM system. It is your tool to leverage your time, because time is our most valuable commodity and we only have a limited amount of it. And if you want to be successful in this business, you really need to be focused on talking to people, making connections, and all the people that you make the connections with, allow the tools to be automated for you.
Recording in progress.
You good? Okay. All right, so let's talk about understanding kvCORE and the CRM essentials. All right, so again, like I talked about, it's centralized management. So it's keeping all your leads, your notes, your follow-ups, your tasks, everything in one organized location, and you can have it on your phone. So you have it on your laptop, you have it on your phone, you take it with you, and everything is right there for you. I talked about the time optimization. Again, this is a tool that is going to allow you to really maximize and amplify your time and your efforts. Allow the system to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Increase conversion. All right. You've seen trainings before where we've talked about it takes multiple touch points for a client to actually engage with you. So a lot of times, maybe we're doing an open house, or we go and we talk to a for sale by owner or cold calling, whatever it may be, and you get some contacts and you put them into your CRM because at the time that you had that conversation with them, just wasn't the right time, or maybe they weren't too sure about you, right? A lot of times that's what it is. You're like, yeah, I like you, but I don't know if I want to use you as my agent. So now you have to prove to them that you are the go-to person that they want to connect with. And so it's all about the touch points, and using your CRM wisely is going to allow you to increase that and allow you to convert a lot more of those leads into actual clients. And then kvCORE is one of the industry standards. So there are a lot of CRM systems out there. kvCORE is used by a huge majority of agents around the nation and in the world. So that's why we utilize it. That's why EXP has it as their sole CRM system. All right, so setting up your kvCORE platform. Now, this is not a training on setting that up. However, I will just let you know that I'll go through a few things to show you exactly how to set it up properly. But then there's tons of trainings on kvCORE, so I would highly recommend that you go through that. But ultimately, look, you got to complete your profile, right? Big things are making sure you have all your contact information in there, making sure that you have an email signature set up, and you're customizing your website. Now, when I say customizing your website, look, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who go to my specific website unless I create a landing page or a squeeze page that actually gets them there. But you still want to have it modified. So when you do create a landing page or a squeeze page, when they do go there, they see that you've got something that is more specific to you and not just the general EXP website. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then connecting your MLS and IDX feed. Again, that's all part of the setup process to make sure that when somebody does go to your website, they are only seeing the properties that are in your MLS. Okay. And of course, if you have listings, it's showing your specific listings. So let's talk about some lead nurturing automations. And this is really what I'm going to talk about today. And when I go over to the kvCORE platform, this is what I'm going to be sharing with you. So again, I'll show you where to set up your kvCORE platform, but these are the things that we're really going to be diving into. So creating a smart campaign, how to put together a newsletter, setting up property alerts, and then special occasions with birthdays. And guys, I will tell you this. So I have a current listing right now that was from a client that I sold them a condo on Siesta Key over 2 years ago. And because the birthday email went out, he reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, Matt, great to hear from you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. We're actually thinking about selling the condo. What do you think it's worth now?" So I pick up the phone, have a conversation with him. Again, I haven't talked to him in over 2 years, but because I had him in the CRM, and it automatically sent that out, plus my newsletters and everything else that I do, he reached out, right? So I was still his go-to person, where he could have reached out to many. He doesn't even live here in Sarasota. They're out in the Orlando area. I'm sure he's got plenty of agents out there that he knows. And in that specific condo unit, there's a lot of agents who they sell a lot in there. They could have easily just asked the management company, "Hey, who's the top agent for this building?" And they would have connected with them. Okay, so that's kind of the importance and the how you can leverage a tool like kvCORE to build your business. So first, I want to talk about just some common best practices, some mistakes, and then just some extra steps. All right, so some of the best practices, obviously, is making sure you're tagging your clients appropriately. So making sure that, hey, maybe they started off as a new lead and now they turned into a hot lead, right? So they're actively searching. You need to make sure that you're taking them through the pipeline. And you need to make sure that you tag them properly from where you were able to get that lead. So was it a FSBO? Was it a walk-in from Floor Time? That way you can market to those people specifically. So the emails you send out, the smart campaigns that you do, all of that can be specifically tailored to those clients. So it makes it look more unique and more personal to them. Okay. Document conversation notes after every interaction. So if it's a text message, if it's an email, if it's a phone call, you want to make sure you're documenting that. Now, if you send a text message through kvCORE or an email through kvCORE, it's going to automatically track that, right? So you don't have to do anything else. But if you use your cell phone, you make a phone call, then you'll want to make sure that you document that and exactly what you guys talked about. Use hashtags to create targeted groups for specific campaigns. Again, I kind of mentioned that is just making sure you're segmenting them based on how you found the client. And then anything that maybe goes beyond that, you know, maybe they recently had damage from a hurricane and you put a specific tag on that. So when you send out an email, maybe you have an email campaign that's around those people, because at the beginning, they're going through a lot, right? Maybe you're sending those people specific insurance related emails. Maybe at some point you start getting into, hey, look, you know, how are things going with the insurance carrier? Are you able to get the repairs made? You know, are they more than you thought? And if they are, maybe I can help you find a way out, right? And that way out could be listing their property, right? So these are all things that you can do. And if you utilize it properly, again, you set one campaign up, click a button, and it automatically does everything for you. Okay, some common mistakes, delayed follow-ups. We hear that all the time, right? You get a lead that calls you, or they respond back to one of your messages, and you're like, well, I'll get back to them when I can. All right, guys, again, if you want this to pay you like a business, you've got to treat it like one. If you want it to pay you like a hobby, well, then just wait an hour or two until you have some free time to respond to a text or email. Guys, it only takes 30 seconds to a minute to respond to an email. And even a response of, hey, John, I got your message. I just wanted to let you know that I'm actually in a meeting right now, but I will respond back to you by 2 o'clock. You know, whatever time that you can get to them, but just make sure you're responding. So it doesn't mean you have to go into exactly what they're asking from you in that email or text or phone call, but just acknowledging that you did receive their message and that you'll get back to them as soon as possible. That right there stops the clock, and they look at it and saying, okay, he's going to get back to me, versus not responding. And then again, if you're not their go-to agent, right, they're going to be like, all right, well, who else can I get an answer from? And now they're going to go to another agent who might respond back sooner, right? And you've lost that deal. So that's a very common mistake. Failing to verify automation status and delivery. So if you're doing this and you're just starting off, all right, make sure, and I'm going to show you this, make sure you set yourself up first and set yourself up on automation so you can see exactly how they're coming in and make sure that they're coming in the way that you expect them to. And if they're not, you need to go in there and modify them. Okay, over automating without personal touch points. Now, there are going to be some clients, they are cold, they have not responded to anything, and you have tried and tried and tried for months. All right, so those people, they may just be on your automatic campaigns, and that's it. But those who are responding, don't forget to pick up the phone and actually call them. Don't forget to send them a personal message. It could be a text, a phone call, could be an email, but don't just always rely on this. For those people who are actually hot clients or hot leads, make sure you are having certain touch points with them. That also goes with past clients. With past clients, maybe it's every once in a while, you do a pop by where you drop off a gift, or you send a personal letter to them, just asking them how their experience has been in the house that they just bought. Maybe it's been 30 days since their last inspection, and you want to give them some tips on different maintenance that they need to do. Now, you can set that up automatically, but again, as a newer agent, if you have just a handful of clients that you've worked with, there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that yourself. Now, when you have hundreds and hundreds of clients who you've done deals with, then maybe you set it up more automatically, and maybe just the clients that you've done in the last 6 months or so, that's where you're making that extra little personal touch, where you're actually seeing that. Okay. Inconsistent data entry leading to fragmented records. So yeah, just make sure you're inputting the information correctly. You're double checking it. Just like if you're putting a listing in the MLS, you're not just going to go on there and take 10 minutes, set it up, click the button and submit it, right? You're going to review that over and over to make sure that everything is correct. All right. Same thing with this. Make sure that everyone is set up properly, that there's no numbers that are switched. We see that a lot. Yeah, they're just not getting my message. Then you look at it and you're like, well, it's not the same number because you typed it in too fast. Make sure you're verifying that stuff. Okay, so some steps. Input context with complete information. That goes without saying. Assign appropriate campaigns immediately. So anytime you're setting somebody up as a new lead, if you need to set them up on a campaign, do that right away. Don't wait. I mean, it's all in the same steps, right? So there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that. Schedule personal follow-ups. And then review engagement metrics weekly to refine approach. And again, there are metrics in kvCORE. There's a lot of training on that. Again, that's not something that we're going to go over today. All right, so those are just some steps to make sure that you're utilizing this the right way and some things to avoid. So some top producer strategies, again, not something that we're going into deep dive into today. We will do something more on things like squeeze pages and landing pages, but that's going to be a separate training because it's a little bit more involved. So some marketing funnels. So some top agents do use click ads, so social media, Google ads that direct them to the kvCORE landing page. So it's something specific, an attention grabbing ad that says, hey, I wanted to learn more about that. And they click on it and it goes to a landing page where they have to submit their information. And now you've captured a lead. Okay. Within that landing page, you're going to be able to set up everything that you need to. So the hashtags, just the ways that that lead came from that specific ad. Okay. Behavioral triggers. Somebody, let's say they're a lead in your kvCORE system, and all of a sudden they start, after 6 months, they're starting to search again. So you can set up different behaviorals for the system to trigger, hey, this person after 6 months is now starting to look at properties. Let's go ahead and start sending them out the 6-month campaign. Okay, that is something that you can set up. The squeeze pages. Again, these are just specialized landing pages to help with different tools that sellers can use, buyers can use. And then there's also niche marketing or niche marketing, however you want to say it. You can really focus in on a specific area to target them with these landing pages and squeeze pages. Okay. This is something that you're interested in. I highly recommend that you start looking into it prior to us even doing the training on it. Because again, in kvCORE, all this stuff I'm going over today, they have trainings and they have great trainings on it. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. All right, so here's where we're going to go into kvCORE, and we're going to talk about adding a contact, how to categorize your leads, how to set property alerts, how to create and make a campaign assigned to that lead, and then just some special occasion setups. So I'm going to switch over to the platform. And if you have your computers up and you haven't really done this, maybe do it with me. All right, so first and foremost, one of the things that I left on here, and you'll see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, the get started. I didn't finish this on purpose just to make sure that it stayed there, because I don't know if it goes away once I finish it. But it usually automatically clicks or pops up if you haven't finished these steps yet. So these steps literally take you through everything, all right? How to complete your profile, how to review your website and modify it as needed, how to add contacts and then learn the automation systems, how to connect your lead sources, get new leads, import your contacts, sync your email, set up the automated communications, and then it talks about downloading the mobile app. All right, so that is something that if you haven't gone through, make sure you do that and you finish it. It literally takes you step by step. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about starting a new client. All right, so we have add contact up here. You also have these quick actions where it has add contact. So I am going to go ahead and just put myself in here. Probably have a couple of me in here. Yeah, and make sure you're spelling everything right. Now for phone number, I'm just going to have to put in a random number because I'm already in there. Always make sure when you're adding these that you are getting permission to send them text and email. If you have their address, you can input it in here. On listings. All right, then we've got lead type. So I'm just going to go ahead and put buyer in there. And this is going to be a new lead. Make sure you actually click on it. It is a manual add. If you had multiple agents as part of your system, you would want to make sure that you assign it to who actually has control over that lead. Otherwise, you really don't need to do that. If I wanted to put a smart campaign, so these are some that I've already got set. So I've got a default new lead buyer, default new lead seller. So I'm just going to say, okay, and I'll show you how to create the smart campaigns. If you're going to add a lender, you can do that, and you can CC your lender. Okay, those are all things that you can set up in here. Right now, I don't have a lender set up, and then you can automatically add some notes right when you're setting that up. So once you've done that, now you may say, well, look, that's not that a lot of information. What about the hashtags? What about, the birthday and all this other stuff that you just talked about? Well, that's in the next step. All right, so you get the basic information in there, you add the contact, and now you're going to have all this that comes up. And then in the upper left-hand corner, you can go to profile details and then edit details. And you can see all the information you can now add. So you can add spouses in there, you can add birthdays. So I'm going to click edit details. And in here, really the first thing that you'll want to do, so put in the year and then whatever the month is. Whoops. So we're just going to say July 6th. All right, 1978. Now, at the bottom here, you'll see send birthday, email, and text. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle that on. If you wanted to put in the occupation, their title, what they're searching for, their preferences, you can put all that in there as well. Any social media sites that they may have. Get as much detailed information on them as you can. Now, as far as birthdays, That's one that's definitely important. I would recommend that at a bare minimum, you ask them, hey, what's your birthday? You just give me a month and a year, or maybe they just give you the month and you put whatever year on there. Because when you send that email or the text, it's not going to be personalized. Hey, happy 52nd birthday. It's going to be, hey, happy birthday, right? So just find out what month that they were born in at a bare minimum, and you'll be able to set this up. Okay, so if they were born in July and you don't have a specific day and year, just make it up. Doesn't matter for this. At least they're getting something on the month that they were born. All right, once all that's done and you've put all the information in there that you want, you can click Save Changes. Oh, so you see the message I just got there, landlines cannot be used. Let me see if it allows me to put my cell phone in there. Yeah, because I already have myself in there, I can just see, does this?
You have a landline?
No, but I put my cell phone in there. Here, let me just. That's it. Okay, interesting. That was the number I had on there before. So for whatever reason, I'm getting an error because of the number that I'm putting in there. Could be because I already have it in this system to begin with, which is very possible. So you can see that's still there, the number's in it. But for some reason, I just couldn't save it. But that's how you would do it. And in a normal situation, that is a unique client that you're putting in there with a unique number, and all the other information is unique as well. All right, so that is how you can get the profile details on there as far as alerts are concerned. So now you go to the next setting at the top with alerts, and you can click Set Alerts. Okay, so as far as the alert title, let's just say we're going to say the Sarasota 34232. All right, so specifically setting it up for that zip code. Where to send the alerts. So you're going to send them once weekly. If you need to CC anybody, so let's say you've got a husband and a wife, and the wife wants to be CC'd as well, you can add their email address on there too. As far as areas, you can do this by zip code, you can do it by county, you can do it by city, or you can just do an actual map search by drawing it on the map. All right, so since I already know, I just want to do 34232. You got to wait, let it come up, and now it's going to go in there. If you want to add something else in there, obviously you can do that as well. And now you've got multiple zip codes or multiple cities, whatever you need. All right, as far as which listings to send. So there's a lot of options here. Typically it's going to be single family home, or it's going to be condo, could be a combination of both. You're going to put in your minimum price range, your maximum price range, the beds, the baths, again, all of that detail that is specific to that client, you're going to go ahead and put in here. And this is how you're going to be able to set up automatic property alerts for them. So I would always recommend, this is kind of a best practice, when you're first starting with a lead, let them know what to expect. Okay, don't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to set you up on property alerts. And then you set it up where every day, or maybe, every time a new listing matches their criteria, it's sending them an email. That may not be that type of client. They may not be ready to buy for 3 months. So instead of having it sent daily, maybe it's weekly, or it's every other week. If it is a client who is actively searching right now, then by all means, yes, set them up on immediate alerts. Because here's one of the things that you're going to find. You're setting this up for them. Think about what they're doing as well on Zillow, on Realtor, homes.com. They're setting up their own property alerts, right? So make sure that your alerts are getting into their inbox as well. Because the worst thing that you want to have, and I had this happen once because I did not have it set up automatically. And that was the moment I said, okay, for clients like this, I need to make sure they see that I'm sending them information. Even though it's not me technically sending it to them, it's being sent immediately. Because what happened is I got a phone call from this client. Hey, I want to see this property. And hey, by the way, how come I'm sending you the listings I'm interested in versus you sending me the listings, right? First of all, it's because, look, this is all you're doing. You're on Zillow literally all day. I've got other people I'm working with. I've got other things I'm doing, right? So yeah, maybe I don't see a listing when it comes up within the first hour and you do. So that's why it's important to make sure that you have those property alerts set up appropriately for that client. So set the expectation, right? Say, hey, since you're looking right now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this up to make sure that when a new property hits the market, you're getting an alert right away. Okay. Or, yeah, I know you're really not looking to buy in the next 3 months. So I'm going to go ahead and just have it set up to where you're getting property alerts every other week, just so we can kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. So if you see anything that I send you that you really like, let me know. I'll make note of it. And then as we get closer to your timeline, then we'll start looking again, see if that property is available, or I'll run a new search to find properties that are very similar to that. Okay, so that's how you would set all that up. Okay, so again, a lot of options there. So then you would just click set alert. And if you wanted to go ahead and send it immediately, you would go ahead and click save and send. Okay, so here are some results that are coming up. You can go through this and you can modify some of the properties if you go through them and you're like, yeah, this one's really not what they're looking for. Or maybe you're like, this is the house. I know they're going to be interested in it. See, that still pops up. Then you can go ahead and send this through email. Say, hey, look, I know this is one that you might be interested in. I want to go ahead and send this to you and not wait. All right, so you've got all that in there. And so that's how you're going to set up your clients on a property alert. Go back. You can also set up any files, transactions, any tasks, all right in there. Again, a lot of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory. Now, we use SkySlope for our transaction management software. So you may not be putting your documents in here, and that's perfectly fine. You'll have them stored in SkySlope. Doesn't make a difference, but if you like to keep track of this, you can have your transactions in here. And again, it's just going to give you a snapshot of everything that you're doing all in one place for that client. Okay. And again, you can also set up, if you do have your transactions in there, you can set it up to where you have a campaign that says, okay, I moved that client from a new lead to a hot prospect, and now they're under contract. All right, so there's a campaign for contracts. Now I've got them to where we close, and then there's a campaign for clients that you've closed. Okay, you can have it all set up to be automated that way. So I'm going to get out of this. Actually, before I do that, any questions online? We're in here.
You unsubscribe to your own text messaging?
Well, it's because that number's not legit. That's the thing. The system is smart. It knows whether or not that is an actual number that can be used.
So when you send the property alerts, is there a way to edit how many properties you send?
Yeah, so that's all. And as you go through that,
so they send like 50, so it's a lot.
Yeah, so the question was, can you edit how many properties are actually being sold in there? You can. Now, what I recommend is at the beginning, you just kind of start setting them out there. I mean, narrow it down as best you can for the property that they're really looking for. But there's a catch to that too. If they say, hey, look, I have to have a house that has a fence. All right. And you set a limit in there where you say, okay, only houses that are marked fence. Well, that means the listing agent through the MLS has to put in the listing setup that there's a fence in there, right? For the system to catch that. All right. Maybe the house has one and the listing agent just didn't put it on there. So that is not going to show up. But on the other side too is, what if there's a property that, yeah, maybe it doesn't have a fence, but the deed restrictions don't disallow it. They actually do allow fences to be built. So there's things like that. And that's why, again, it's always setting the expectations to the client, saying, hey, look, I know you really want a fence, the properties that I'm going to send you, they may or may not have fences. If you find one in there that I send you that you like, let me know. I'll dig into it and see if a fence is allowed. Okay, but I don't want to miss a property because of what I just explained, right? So it's important to make sure that you're setting that expectation. But yeah, you can narrow it down when you set that set up that alert. Okay. So now, as we go down here, we have the smart campaign. So there's the little paper airplane looking thing there. So if we click on smart campaigns, it's going to take a second to load. All right, we have all of these campaigns here. Okay, now these are campaigns that are automatically created through kvCORE. So if you click on one, this is just a default new lead buyer. And it tells you everything that it's going to do. So Smart Campaign isn't just an email campaign. All right. It is a campaign that says, hey, look, on day one, at this time, we're going to send an email. The next day, you're going to have to send a text message, or in this case, you're going to have to call. All right. So immediately when that lead comes in, a text is sent, and then you're going to call and leave a voicemail or call and talk to them. But it will give you everything that you need to do on this. Okay, so if you click on the edit, so this one just says call and do leave a voicemail. But let's just say we look at this text, send a text or email with some properties in the area. So it gives you some ideas. Now there's going to be others that are specific to the message. So buyer second email, let's look at that one. Okay. So this one already has something in it. So it says, hey, if it's helpful, I'd be more than willing to walk through a couple of properties with you. So this is on what, day 3. All right. So day 3, they haven't really responded. So now it's sending that email. Now, when you get a response, maybe you're starting to show them properties. You want to make sure that you end the campaign. All right. Because if it doesn't know that you started showing them properties, it's going to automatically send out that campaign. All right. And that's going to kind of make it look bad. Now they're going to know that, hey, this is just an automated campaign. It's not something that you're actually actively engaged in. Okay. So that's important to make sure that you're staying on top of that. If a habit of a client changes and you start the next step, make sure you're going through any of the smart campaigns that they're added to and modifying as needed. All right. So I'm going to go back to those campaigns. There's a few things I need to show you on here. So if you look over here, status. All right, you see some that are toggled on, some that are toggled off. So these, once you toggle it on, it'll say this will allow all future actions to run for any lead assigned to this campaign. Okay, so you're going to say yes. Now, if I want to go back to my leads, and I'll go back to myself, go to the profile details. And we're going to go to smart campaigns. You can see we're still, so those of you that know, we're still getting used to where everything is in here. So actually, get out, go back to timeline. Here we go. We're going to cut this little part out.
The active campaigns, is that what you're looking for?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's right there.
Jeez. Okay.
Literally on top of it.
Yeah. So active campaigns, you can see that there's some of them that are in there. So again, I had the default new lead buyer. So I'm going to add that one to it. Okay. So I've got 2 actually added there now because when I added them, I automatically had this already set up when a new lead came in that the core default buyer would be added. Okay. But since I just created this default new lead buyer, I'm adding that one as well. Okay. Again, when you do some of these, I will show you, if you remember that message that was sent, just so you know, you don't always have to go in here and do it. So if I toggle this one on, okay, this will allow all future actions to run for any lead assigned to this campaign. So the campaign has specific parameters, right? So it's going to say, okay, any new lead or any lead that was a FSBO, this campaign is going to be set up for. It should automatically set up to new leads that come in. Okay, so if that new lead was already tagged as a FSBO, it'll automatically start that smart campaign for them. You don't have to go back to their profile and say, okay, turn this one on. Okay, that would only be for leads that are in your system that maybe you didn't have on some type of campaign, and now you want to go ahead and toggle that on. Okay, with a lot of these, again, if you want to view and edit any of them, you're able to edit the messages that go through it. All you have to do is just click the edit button on there. Okay, so we click on the default new buyer, you view it, and then edit. Yeah, you can also clone this campaign, and that's what's nice about the clone, and I'll show you right at the top. Sorry, clicked on that quick. So right at the top, if you want to clone it and then really make it your own, that's how you would do that. Okay, so it's going to ask you some questions. You're going to start the campaign when the lead is new, a contact is transferred, or there's a hashtag that's specific to this campaign. Okay, again, when you set up your new leads, when you input their hashtags, if you have a campaign that is specific to that hashtag, it can automatically start that. Okay. So you'll go through the prompts on here just to set it up the way that you want. Who's it designed for? Set all the details. Again, you can modify the name of it. It'll automatically just say copy. And when it says copy, that is one that you know that you can modify. And then review it. If everything on there looks good, you're going to finish. And then it'll automatically create that for you. So right now it's in there. It's got everything you need here, and you can see, you can click edit. I am the owner. You go back to campaigns. Yeah. Now it may not have set up. Oh, squats, no. Edited. Okay, well, it says this campaign cannot be edited because you are not the owner, and I'm not sure why it did that because I should be. Let's see. Well, when you clone it, you should be the owner. So I'm not sure why it's not doing that right now. So let me go back to the original one. Click on that guy. Yeah, so for some reason it's not allowing me to, but it should. So when you clone a campaign, you're cloning it as your own. So it may just be something's going on right now because I've done it plenty of times and it's allowed me to go in there and edit it. So if you have that issue, just let me know. most likely there's just an error somewhere in there, and I may not be seeing it right now, but I've cloned campaigns before and it's not been an issue. Okay, so with your smart campaigns, just make sure that you are setting those up and you're tagging your clients with the correct campaign to make sure that they're getting automated messages from you. Okay, now if we go to templates, okay, with templates, this is where you're going to be able to create, let's just say, a birthday email campaign, a newsletter. That's one of the things that I wanted to go over that I think is important, is going to be a newsletter. So if I type in newsletter here, okay, so there is a newsletter. I don't know what that just picked up. That's automatically in here. Okay, so this one right here at the bottom. And again, if you clone it, all right, so I'm just going to keep it newsletter copy. It does have some, it's already kind of set up in there for you to give you an idea of what you can put, but you can also add anything. So if I wanted to take an image and drop it over, you would do that. But this is the template. Okay, so you go through the template, you look at it, you say, okay, that's the one that I want to use. You can also create your very own. I just use the template that's in there and I take away what I don't like and keep what I do like. So I'm going to go ahead and click clone template at the bottom there. So you do have to refresh. Okay, now that I've refreshed it, I've got this copy here, and now I can click edit. Okay, it takes a second to come up. But once it does, so you've got at the top, it says agent header. That's something that you can always change. So if you wanted to do schedule a showing button, you could click that, you know, to where there's schedule a showing for a specific MLS property. So I'm just going to type in the Robinhood one. Okay, so it's in there. So when they click on that request a showing, it's going to go directly to that Robinhood address. Okay, down at the bottom here, if I want to, maybe I want to add an image right below the Memorial Day article header, and then I can click browse. You can either upload your own or they have free photos that are available through kvCORE. Okay, I'll give you an idea of the one that I created, just so you can see it. Okay, so you can see some of this I still have to edit once I send it out. So prior to kvCORE, I was using a different system that I already had a template set up, so sending it out that way. Now I'll just do it through here because you can send it out to all your contacts. So featured property of the month, what's happening in Sarasota this month. If you want to keep it broad, you can keep it broad. You know what's happening in the market. Real estate tips of the month, a quick personal note for me, thinking of buying and selling. Hey, just click, here's my current listings. And you can have it set up to where, hey, what's my property worth? And it takes them to your landing page. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can do with this. You can add all your social media links. You know, hey, go here and make sure you like me, you know, or you add me as a friend. So once you've done that, and I'm just going to cancel because I didn't change anything. Okay, so now you've got that newsletter already set up, or you've got an email set up. So one of the things that I've done always during a storm, you know, or before a storm, I'll say, hey, if anybody needs any help putting up their shutters, please let me know. Afterwards, hey, does anybody need any help taking down their shutters? Does anybody need any water? Do you need any supplies? Is there anything I can do to help? I'm sending out all those emails. So I'll create a template, and then I go back to my contacts. Okay, and you're just going to go ahead and select all. Okay, now you can increase the number of, contacts that you have on there. Just remember, if you want to make sure everyone is included, you've got to go page by page. Make sure that they're added. So you don't want to miss anybody in there. Okay, so you would do that for all the pages, and then you're going to do a quick email. Okay, now we'll tell you how many that aren't going to get the email. Okay, there's some people that may be unsubscribed or they didn't have an email address. Once you put them in there, that's perfectly fine. But then you can do templates. So you're going to add a template in there. You can search your template. So I'm going to say monthly newsletter. So I click on the monthly newsletter, and there it goes. So the subject line is in there. It's going to automatically populate the actual newsletter, and then I'm going to click send. Okay, so there's two things that I do every single month. One is a newsletter like this, and that's typically at the beginning of the month. And then towards the end of the month, it's always like a funny meme, and Rebecca's been great at finding those memes. But it's just kind of a joke thing. Like you'll see on my social media, I'll post that as well. So the other day it was the South Park video of he's showing a house, and it's just funny things like that. That's another touch point, right? Now, somebody may open it, they may not, doesn't matter, but they're going to see my name constantly coming through their emails. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to send this. But those are the things that are important here. So, and it's the things that are commonly missed. There's a lot of agents who, they'll go ahead and they'll put their contacts into the CRM system, and maybe they set up those property alerts. That's fine. But if you want to be good, you're going to set them up on a smart campaign. If you want to be great, you're going to set them up on the newsletter, and you're going to send out happy birthday messages, and you're going to do all those things to create those touch points with them. Because those are the things that are eventually going to come back and will pay you tenfold for the time that you put into it. All right. It's always about staying on top of mind with your clients and with your leads. Okay, so let's just talk about kind of what the steps are to go, because it's easy to get overwhelmed when setting up a CRM system like this. And you can see, even with me, I've been working with this now for a month or so. I'm still going through and trying to figure out where everything is. But it's all there. And if you miss something, the trainings are there too. All right, so you just go into the knowledge database. You say, hey, I want to know how to create a smart campaign. Click on the smart campaign video. It'll walk you through everything you need to know about it in great detail, right? More detail than we can even do in these trainings. But ultimately, first thing to do is set up the foundation, right? So complete your setup, your profile, customize your website, import your current database. So if you have a current database, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is you can just import it as it is. I don't recommend you doing that. So if you're a brand new agent, you have nobody, then you're just importing them individually. But if you're a experienced agent and you're moving everything over from another CRM system, or maybe you just have an Excel spreadsheet with all contacts in it that have some sort of segmentation. So, it shows where they came from. Maybe it's got some hashtags in it. kvCORE has an option for you to be able to send those over to a kvCORE specialist who's going to look through that Excel spreadsheet that you send them, and it's going to make sure that those segments are properly aligned with the kvCORE system. So if you have them listed as a FSBO or a cold call or an open house or a floor lead, it actually goes ahead and tags them with those leads or with those notes. Okay. Assign some smart campaigns. So week 2, start really diving into the smart campaigns. Make sure that you're setting them up appropriately, and make sure you're setting up your property alerts for clients, and then incorporate kvCORE checks into your daily routine. So you're going to have tasks, all right? And at the top, all right, you have some little icons on here. So this is any messages that come in, and then these are your tasks. So if you have any tasks that are due today, or maybe they're past due, it's going to show here. So this is something you should be doing on a daily basis to see if there's anything you need to do. So, we talk about time blocking. In your daily time blocking, there should be some time set aside to check kvCORE and make those phone calls or send the email, send the text, whatever the task is. So you're blocking that time off specifically. Okay, and then optimization. So review your first month's metrics, adjust campaigns based on the engagement data. So again, you're just going through everything and seeing, okay, what's working, what's not working, right? And if it's not working, what do I need to do to adjust it? All right, but ultimately it's about taking action, right? So this is truly a virtual assistant that if you utilize will pay you time and time again. And it's something that at some point in your business, you're going to have too many people to manage on your own. So if you're managing your contacts on your own, you're sending out emails, just every once in a while, this is how you actually get ahead. Make sure that you are utilizing kvCORE to its full advantage. And it only takes a few minutes every day. And if you can just take 5 to 10 minutes a day to follow up properly or set your kvCORE up, again, it's just one of those things that's going to pay you time and time again. It helps improve response time by 67%. This is just, metrics that they found that when you implement these systems and the tools that kvCORE has, you're going to have a much better response time and you're going to convert leads more than 3 times.
It's not showing good.
Not showing
You, yeah.
Oh, me? Oh, well. All right, so I'm not on the camera anymore. That's fine. They don't need
Still
it.
on the
Maybe.
camera or no?
All right. But I think the biggest thing is to, as you can see on the screen, is start simple, right? It's easy to get caught in the web of all the stuff that you can do on here, especially with landing pages, squeeze pages, all that. Start with the basics. Get good with those basics and then start adding on top of that. You don't need to do everything all at once, because if you do and you're not good at anything, it's, jack of all trades, master of none. So start with just a few things that you can handle consistently. Once you're consistent with that, then add another layer. Get consistent with that, add another layer. Okay, kvCORE is a great tool. Don't get paralysis by analysis, all right, and saying, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff. No, just know that all that's there, you decide what you want to start with based on your ability, the time that you have, whether you're working this full-time or part-time, maybe you just don't have as much time. That's fine. But you have to start somewhere and get good with that and check it daily. And I promise you, you'll see the rewards very shortly. Okay. So with that, any questions? And I know there were a couple glitches there with like the smart campaign and editing. I promise you, once you clone a smart campaign, you can edit it. For whatever reason, it just wasn't doing it for me today. But I didn't want to take the time to actually go through it and waste everyone's time. We're right about an hour. So any questions on that? Any questions online? We're good. All right. So thank you for joining me. Appreciate that. And if there are any questions, we can always sit down and go through this one-on-one. Again,